welcome to the second of the videos on flexibility and muscle engagement. Today we're going to be doing a squat test. The reason we're looking at this is really thinking about your connection onto the foot plate when you're fully compressed at the catch position. Now if you look at this picture of a child who is squatting, you can see that essentially we all know, or at least once knew, how to squat properly. It's only with adulthood that we get into bad habits and lose the correct form. Key things to note here are shown on the picture. Shoulders back, you can see the shoulders are also over the ankles, the hips are below the line of the knee, and the knees track over the toes. Moving on to the test itself, as with last week, ideally you want someone to watch you while you do it. Alternatively, set up your phone camera so that you can record yourself. You may want to use a slow motion function if you have that, because that will also help you review the footage. So we start off with our feet shoulder width apart, core engaged, hands behind the head, and we're simply going to do a nice steady squat. Let me show you that again from the side, and you'll probably want to record this from both ways. So again, hands behind the head and squat down. Now in this image, we can see a few things that we should be looking for. Firstly, is the angle of the thigh parallel to the ground? Secondly, is the back in a nice neutral position? And lastly, do the knees track over the toes? In this image, we can see a couple other things to look out for. Firstly, the heels lifting off the floor, and secondly, the knees being bent inwards, or sometimes tracking inwards ever so slightly as you carry out the squat. If you see any of these deviations, then this is a sign that this is an area for you to work on. And now we're going to move on to some of the remedial exercises. Now one of the exercises that we can do to really improve our squatting technique and to work on the correct muscle engagement is to do squats while facing a wall. The advantage of this is that we've got the wall to keep us in a nice vertical plane, which will help ensure we get the right movements. It'll also make sure that we drive through our heels as we push back up. So, how are we going to do it? First of all, we're going to start off facing the wall, place our hands above the head, and then we're going to do that squatting position using that wall as the plane to guide us, like so. Now it doesn't matter if at first you find you can't get down to that full depth of squat. Just keep practicing, and with time you'll get down to the point where you can do a really good deep squat. So the second exercise that we're going to look at is the dead bug exercise. This is really designed to help you engage and strengthen your core. Those of you that have been doing the lockdown body weights will probably be pretty familiar with this, but let me go through it again for those that have been missing the sessions. So we're going to start off, lie flat on the floor. Make sure that the small of your back is tucked nice and well into the ground, because otherwise we're going to be using the wrong set of muscles. And what we want to be doing is engaging these deep core muscles that go around here. So we start off raising our legs at 90 degrees, arms up in the air, and we're simply going to do the exercise whereby we alternate one arm back, one leg back. Really making sure we've got control and that core is always engaged and that we're working that to keep our body in a nice stable position. You can also do this where you do same arm, same leg, and that's a little bit harder. But overall, it's all about working this core group of muscles that's going to give you that stability while you're doing the squat. And that's the dead bug exercise. The third exercise that we can do is to improve our ankle flexibility. Here we're aiming to stretch out the Achilles and this chain around here. So what I'm going to do, I've got a chair here, I'm going to push against that, put some of my weight on my front foot here, and we're aiming to stretch the ankle at the rear. So keeping it nice and parallel, I'm just going to dip forward. As I do that, you should feel a stretch down that lower part of the ankle. Get into position and hold it for a while. and then we can try and stretch on a bit further. So that completes the squat test assessment. I hope you enjoyed that and look forward to seeing you next week.